Welcome back, everyone. Alright, so I got this video here of Tucker Carlson and Mason Tvert kind of squaring off a little bit on Tucker's show. Didn't go so well for Tucker. And I might jump in here during the video to address some of the nonsense displayed by Tucker Carlson. But overall, I think he took this debate to a different place than what Mason Tvert was expecting, and Mason was trying to stay on script, and it's just a shit show. But we're gonna go ahead and run this whole video. I might stop it maybe once or twice, and then afterwards, I have a lot to say about maybe the video and also the response on this Fox News clip on YouTube was not good for Tucker. Did not go well. And you know, we're talking about people that watch Fox News, Tucker Carlson. These are conservatives, Republicans, people that are considered right-wingers or whatever. We're going to read some comments in the comment section under the video after we watch the video. I'll try not to interrupt the video if I can help it. It's going to be really hard. All right, here we go.
Well, Canada has become just the second country in the history of the world to fully legalize the sale of marijuana, as well as the recreational consumption. Much like young Americans, young Canadians increasingly can't afford to buy homes or start families or even have cars. More and more of them are stuck living at home with their parents, whom they will make less than as they get older. These are huge problems. No one is even thinking about how to fix them, but at least young people will be too high to notice. Maybe they won't complain. Is this idea coming to the United States? Of course it is. Mason Tvert is a spokesman for the Marijuana Policy Project. He joins us tonight. Mason, thanks a lot for coming on tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Does it bother you when big business and government align to make young people more passive and compliant?
Well, it bothers me when government creates foolish laws that destroy the lives of countless young and older people alike for using a substance that's objectively less harmful than alcohol. And, you know,
right.
Marijuana's out there, so rather than forcing it into the underground market, criminalizing people for using it, let's actually control it. Let's regulate it. Let's treat it more like alcohol and do what we can to minimize the potential harm around it.
Right. I mean, well, we're not doing anything to minimize the harm around it, obviously. We're never going to do that. In fact, it's become more potent. And by the way, I would concede that in a lot of ways alcohol is more threatening than marijuana, for sure, but it's also less deadening. And that's kind of the point about marijuana. Government isn't in the marijuana business because it wants to minimize harm. It wants to make money in tax revenue, but it also wants to keep young people passive and stupid and less likely to complain and revolt when the economy they've created doesn't serve young people. You don't see this?
I think it's actually kind of an absurd notion, seeing as marijuana has long been associated with younger people revolting. I mean, marijuana became popular in the 60s during the anti-war movement and has
Mason,
long been considered
do you smoke a lot of weed, Mason? No, come on now, come on now. I grew up in California. I know what marijuana is. It does not make you more likely to do anything, is the truth, as you know. I know firsthand, and I know you do too.
Stereotype.
It's not a foolish stereotype, it's reality.
That's like saying everyone who enjoys a cocktail after work with their friends is a lush. It's just not true.
Well, but I'm not arguing that.
Who use cannabis.
Tucker, yeah, you are. You literally just said that. Your whole, like, leading up to this point here, half of your whole diatribe has been young kids are going to smoke weed and become disassociated with reality and lazy. That's what your whole... This is 2 minutes in, and that's mostly what you've said. So, Tucker, I'm sorry to fucking inform you here, but you're a total fucking hack when it comes to what you're saying about cannabis in this video. Now, I've heard you talk about cannabis in other videos, and you were never this hacky. So, like, I don't know what's going on here, but this is ridiculous. We'll let him keep going, though. He's got more.
So it's not a big deal. I mean, the last few presidents, we've had Supreme Court justices, we've had countless business people. I mean, it's not
you're
a problem
totally
for
missing
adults
it.
to use it.
You're totally missing it. I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing it is a problem for people to smoke marijuana occasionally. I don't think it is. I'm not a prohibitionist by temperament at all, and I'm not a neo-Puritan, unlike everyone on the left. I'm just saying, if you make it legal, many more young people will use it much more often. This we know. It's true of everything.
That's not well, that's actually not what we're seeing. If you look at, Colorado, Washington, Oregon, Nevada, every state that's made marijuana legal has not seen an increase in teen use.
That's not true, actually. And spare me the fake numbers.
It's a fact.
But let me, okay, it's actually not a fact.
Talk to the state governments in each of those states.
Okay, but let me.
You know, Tucker, man, I hate to break it to you again, but you look like such a clown. I mean, you literally, I'm seeing a red nose and clown shoes here. This is just ridiculous. Like, for you to sit here in the face of statistics that can be drawn up instantly to prove your point wrong. And I've done 2 videos in the last, year about the numbers in Colorado. So, you know, I mean, I guess that you're just going with the standard prohibitionist talking point here on this one. Legalization. The more you legalize things, the more young kids are going to be doing it. And that's never been true. You go to Portugal. You look at the Portugal study. All the drugs across the board. Teen use drops completely on all of them. I mean, whatever, man. You look at the Colorado numbers if you want. But Tucker probably don't want to. He don't care about numbers that really are real. He sits there and calls it fake.
Just ask you, though, overpopulations, it is true that marijuana, and this is a clinical matter that has been studied longitudinally a lot over decades, makes people less likely to act. It makes them more passive. And I'm just saying, if you were running a system that was not...
You know, Tucker, what you're talking about here is straight up like the FBI's playbook back in the 60s. Oh, look, marijuana makes you laid back and mellow. Maybe we should just inject this into the hippie movement and they'll all chill out. Didn't you hear Mason earlier in the video, dumbass? Marijuana, the rise of marijuana and the rise of the anti-war movement were the same people. So if what you're saying is true, then I guess these pacifists would have never went out and protested the war, now would they? They would have been too lazy and not cared, and all these stereotypes that you keep running in your head, which are total bullshit. The people that smoke marijuana fought for decades against the laws against it and have made marijuana legal in a lot of places. The whole country of Canada. This is because of activists that smoke marijuana and aren't sitting on the couch doing jack shit nothing like you keep saying they're doing. I don't know anybody that smokes weed that just sits around and don't do shit all day. What are you talking about? This is just absurd for you to keep running with this fucking talking point, man.
Not serving young people, serving them so badly, a lot of them became socialists. Wouldn't you want them passive and spacey and out of it? And wouldn't you also want to collect the tax revenue and continue your alliance with creepy big cannabis companies?
Do I sound like I'm fucking passive and spacey and not aggressive, motherfucker? Tucker, you're the dumbest person there ever was sometimes. I mean, granted, he's not always wrong. Tucker does make some good points, and he's anti-war. Sometimes not for the right reasons, but I'm not going to totally say that Tucker Carlson is a complete hack and a totally lost cause. And I can't even believe he's here on this with these talking points on weed in this day and age. You call yourself a libertarian. I want libertarians to call you out, because I respect libertarians, and I didn't know that they felt like you do about weed. And if they do feel like you do about weed, a lot of them must be like some double agent spies or some turncoats or some shit in the movement. So what in the actual F, man?
I mean, that's kind of what's going on, right?
I honestly, I think it's bizarre that you want the government to use this as a way to criminalize a whole population of people and control the people.
But that is what they're doing.
No, we're talking about social engineering here, too. If you haven't noticed, Mason has been hitting on this social engineering thing the whole way through, because that's what it is when you prohibit marijuana, but you're allowing people to drink alcohol or smoke cigarettes, for that matter. This is social engineering, and it's wrong, and libertarians should be against it. Republicans speak against social engineering all the day long. They're like, oh, those liberals are gonna, teach you all these things in school and not have prayer and teach evolution and all this stuff and social engineer you. Well, what the fuck is telling people they can't smoke weed, man? That's social engineering straight up. Oh, you get caught, go to jail? That's social engineering, dude. So don't give me your horse shit, Carlson.
You want it to be a crime for adults to use a substance less harmful than one that's legal for you or me or anyone can use.
But what I'm saying is marijuana already was effectively decriminalized in most places. Not every place, and there are people who did jail terms for weed. No, yes.
Hundreds of thousands of Americans are arrested every year for marijuana.
No, that's not.
Yes.
No.
Yes. And in fact, we just seen the numbers come out for 2 years in a row, even despite legalization in several states. Marijuana arrests have actually gone up. And yes, people are getting arrested for possession, Carlson. I'm sick of the right-wingers on Fox News and Ann Coulter and all these other idiots. Always say, oh, nobody's getting arrested for possession. Nobody's in jail for possession. You know what? You're fucking wrong. Look at the damn numbers. The FBI puts out statistics. That's as good as you get. This is what you can believe.
No one in most places is arrested for a joint. Look, we have a don't ask, don't tell policy
FBI,
in a lot of places.
Several 100,000 Americans are arrested every year for marijuana. They announce it's a fact.
But hold on. You could very easily, in effect, decriminalize it for small amounts without legalizing, which means every time I walk through Times Square, someone is hitting a vape or smoking a joint, which is what it is now. I'm saying.
All right, so now his argument switches to, well, we could do this decriminalization thing if you're so worried about all these arrests. We just don't need to. Why do we need to legalize? Hey, what kind of shit? How stupid is that? Is that another libertarian position? I'm curious. Libertarians, let me know below. Should we make it against the law to sell weed and have a commercial distribution and manufacturing system in place and just rely on whatever falls out of the sky being acceptable for sales? Or should we have a regulated system with taxes and sales? I know it's not really the libertarian position to regulate things and have taxes and shit, but let's be honest, man. It's the American way. If you don't like that shit, then change the whole fucking system, because everything is commercial and, regulated and taxed. If you don't think that cannabis is going to be in the same club as all the other shit that you go to the store and buy, then you must think you're in a different country. Because this isn't a country where we do bartering. It isn't a country where we're just like, oh, let's let anybody just produce as much shit as they want willy-nilly without any oversight. I would love it to be that way. But no, we live in a capitalist society that is tightly regulated and strictly guarded. So that if you try to get over by like $5, the cops are beating you down with billy clubs. So, you want to change something, change that.
It's a totally different thing, as you know. But big companies want to profit from this.
Don't you see what you're saying is that it's illegal in Times Square? The point is that
prohibition it's already been decriminalized, as you know. Like in New York City, in Washington, D.C., it's legal and people smoke it on the street. People smoke more when there's less of a sanction. It's not legal to smoke it on the street, and if you do, you're going to get cited just like you would if you were drinking a beer on the street. I thought you did this for a living. That's not true. You don't get, nothing happens to you.
I will give you $1 million if you can prove it's legal to use marijuana on the street in New York City or DC.
You're missing my point. It's not enforced. As you know, de Blasio said to cops, I just talked to him about it. It's not.
All right, Tucker, look, that's simply not good enough. It's simply not good enough to just say, oh, well, we're not going to do this, even though the law is still there. It's not good enough. You know why? Because they can still do it. And you know why? What's really going on is that the people in society that are targeted the most by police are the ones that are going to still get the enforcement. And we've been fighting, most of this drug war fight is because of that. Because this drug war is unfairly targeting minorities, especially black men. You know, you want to argue that, just look at the damn statistics again, Carlson. I know you hate to look at facts and numbers and shit because you work for Fox News, but you just got to take the numbers into consideration and realize that there's actually something going on there.
So that's better than legalizing it. The only thing that will do is make it more common. This is the most
absurd thing I've ever heard. You're denying facts. It's a
you're
fact
denying
that
reality.
Thousands and thousands of people are arrested in New York every year for marijuana possession. It's just a fact.
What
and I
you
just
are
understand,
doing,
like, you think it's this conspiracy
it's not a
to
conspiracy.
Dumb down America.
Well, it's literally that, but it's also a conspiracy of people like you to get rich from selling it. Let's be honest.
Tucker, the only conspiracy to dumb down America is Fox News, all right? And right-wing policies that want to put the fucking 10 Commandments in the Bible or whatever other dumb shit that happens to make school not work. I mean, come on. Are you telling me that the government wants to legalize weed to dumb down the people? Because last time I checked, I got 4.0 all the way through college. I'm not dumbed down. I've been smoking weed since I was a little kid, and I don't know what you're talking about, dude. You are out in left field. So, I don't know. This is getting kind of like redundant. So, Tucker, let's review. Tucker thinks weed makes you stupid and lazy, and that the government's using it as some kind of a subplot to subvert the younger generations that can't accept the fact that the government just ain't making good policies for them. They're only making good policies for old white rich guys sitting in banks and on Wall Street. We get that. All right. What else you want to know?
Honest, this is big corporations trying to get rich from getting kids to smoke more weed, and I'm sure you've got a piece of it. Don't give me that personal freedom garbage. This is another.
Wow, Tucker really came out of his skin this time. I mean, this is like one of those tell me how you really feel moments, ain't it? I mean, I used to kind of halfway like Tucker a little bit, and I don't even like watching any TV news or anything, but every once in a while a clip will come through the ether and it'll be Tucker like saying something about war that I agree with, and or censorship or whatever, you know. I mean, mostly he just takes the party line and he's a complete fucking hack, and this right here just made me lose pretty much every little last grain of respect I had for him.
Do you think alcohol should be illegal? Do you think it should be illegal? Do you think Coors and Anheuser-Busch are evil corporations and that they're just out there to destroy the world?
I think that people not to destroy the world, but I think people who push.
You think that alcohol should be illegal?
No, I'm not saying it should be illegal. I'm saying there's a middle way.
Should not be there to provide a product.
I'm not flacking, right? Yeah.
Okay, look, Tucker. It remains a fact that alcohol is a major issue for high school students. Major issues, causing all kinds of problems, causing car wrecks. People are actually dying from those. Alcohol is causing, people in school to do all kinds of things that they probably normally wouldn't do in high school. It's a big problem these days, and that's what he's saying. He's like, we don't even really see any evidence of all these things that you said this whole video long about all these so-called problems from weed, yet you're going to sit here and throw every one of them out there and act like this is just common knowledge that smoking weed makes you completely stupid and that the government is using weed to subdue the populations and just every goddamn thing that, the craziest out of left field shit I've ever heard in my life. I can't believe this is Tucker Carlson, but then again, I guess he showed his true colors.
It's just a product. No, it destroys people. I've seen it. Anyway, we're out of time. I wish we could keep going. Because what I'm saying is true.
Back.
Anytime you want. And Mason wasn't even remotely flexing, dude. Mason was just, he didn't even crack a sweat, dude. He basically sat there and watched Tucker make a complete fucking idiot out of himself. And that was basically all he needed to do. Every once in a while, kind of inject his hey, what about this social engineering that you're talking about, And it's like, That's the only theme you need to stick to when you got these kind of talking points coming at you. But let's take a look here at this situation with this video. This is what caught my attention. Let's take a look here. 38,000 views, almost 39. We have 2.2 thousand down likes, and I don't even know what this is. There's 587 upvotes. This is a Fox News clip on YouTube. And yeah, let's see here. This will be one Fox segment that will get huge thumbs down, said the Liquid Theory, with 569 upvotes. Tucker got schooled. Pills Lifestyle Reviews, 302 upvotes. Alternate Keck. Tucker, I hope you read the feedback. I'm another big time fan, and I do not believe you have the facts right on marijuana, my friend. And that's pretty much the sentiment to all the replies there. Like, I'm Republican, but support marijuana use. True, absolutely. You're right. Legalization is the only things the Dems could come in and win with. Yeah, tell that to fucking Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. My God, man. It don't seem like they'll ever hear it though. They don't hear because the donors are screaming a little bit louder. James Fox says, amazing how Tucker doesn't realize that the ones pushing for marijuana legalization is we the people. Shake my head. The government and Big Pharma are trying to control it, though. 100 upvotes. Here's Line Trash with, Tucker, this is the first time I ever disagreed with you. Wow. That's a pretty profound statement right there. I understand what you're saying, Tucker, but the fact is marijuana should be legalized and treated just as alcohol. And believe me when I say this, alcohol is used as a bigger crutch on low-income families and society than anything else. And that's one of the things that I was thinking of, but I didn't really know how to word it because Tucker wasn't really using the old Reagan crutch wording. He was basically saying, you know, that younger generations will smoke weed and just not realize that the government's fucking them over or some shit. Like, I guess that's a crutch in a sort of way, but yeah, really though, when young people are fucked over because the fucking world is fucked up, they're too young to understand that it's actually the system that fucked them. That's the problem. No one's there to be like, well, you know why you're not able to get a good job? Well, that's because you know, these Democrats and Republicans got together and shipped all the jobs to Mexico and China and Honduras and Malaysia and places where you don't even know what the name of the country is. They don't tell you all that. So by the young people, instead of like smoking weed and being passive about all the ways that the government are fucking them over, they have a shitty life and they end up just becoming alcoholics because they want to drown their misery every week. Anyway, let's get back to some comments. Gordon Van Zant, have to agree that marijuana should be legal everywhere. I have zero problems with legalizing marijuana. And a lot of the times you just have to assume that these people making these comments are Republicans, right-wingers, Fox News watchers, Tucker fans, and I'm not saying that these people that I have a problem, you know, like I don't like labels, but I'm just saying those are the people that probably are commenting and not really telling you their party affiliations. All right, not a whole lot of liberals or left-wingers or, you know, whatever you want to call leftists. Not too many communists stepped over here and even bothered watching this garbage. So anything you want to call me is whatever you want. You can call me up, whatever you want. Label me up. I don't really feel like I fall into any of this bullshit. Because every time I find a label that I think fits me because I like what's going on with it, the label gets co-opted and scammed or divided up into like 5 other label subdivisions and ends up not meaning what it used to. And it's all bullshit. All this label shit is all bullshit. I don't think it's really a divide and conquer thing. The labeling system is something that's a human nature thing. That's what we do as our own prejudices. We identify people as something in our own minds, and then our own defense mechanism determines whether we want to try to get closer to the person or get farther away, whether we're talking about physically or ideology wise. So I don't know. More comments. This is great. And let's see how long this video is. I don't want to be up all night, keep you guys up all night. 25 minutes. We can do this for a couple more minutes. Why not? So we have let's see. I just kind of like, sometimes these side conversations get a little bit crazy. But Jameson Moakel: not only do I disagree with Tucker, but he lost the debate as well. Oh well, I still love you, Tuck. Jerry Lee says, Tucker, come on, man. No one have died from it ever. They've tried to make a mouse overdose, couldn't. Cigarettes is the gateway drug. Defending Tucker? He didn't say anything about marijuana being dangerous. True. But one of the things that was kind of mentioned in the video was that, you know, alcohol is much more dangerous, yet it's legal, and we're allowing its unfettered use, basically. So why not let weed be legal, right? So he didn't have to say anything, just by implying that he had a problem with the legal sale. I think that's the main thing I took away from Tucker's position on this, was that he don't like to see people go to jail for it, but when he sees somebody, you know, buying marijuana at a store, it just makes his stomach churn. That's my opinion of what I took away from the video. Other than that, I think he's a libertarian at heart. Some of the things he said in the video was really cringy to think that that's the libertarian position. Anyway, here's Lestat says, Tucker, this is probably the worst segment I've seen you do. Not sure you are educated enough on cannabis to make the claims you did, and I agree with that one wholeheartedly. Cheese says, I respectively disagree with you on this, Tucker, and he has a close-up of Jim Baker, the televangelist. Marco A says, I don't use cannabis or really plan to if legalized. Tucker, I'm a conservative, but I don't agree with the criminalization of marijuana anymore. The government doesn't need to legislate morality. One's own convictions will be the morality thermometer, and ruining people's lives forever from using marijuana is not good for our society. I'm not sure how that fits into anything, but Tucker, I like hearing your commentaries, but on this matter, I'm not agreeing. Somebody wanted to take him farther. Princess Pia, or P, I strongly disagree with you, Tucker, on this one. The fact that he's insisting that people are not constantly in prison because of possessing a little cannabis shows how little he knows about cannabis. That's very true. We all had to stop and pause it there. Tucker, hello. Yes, people are going to jail for small amounts of weed. The numbers are in, and every 48 seconds an arrest is made for marijuana in America, the land of the free. And every 48 seconds that marijuana arrest could land somebody in jail for the night, could be there for longer, could end up getting charged with possession and spending anywhere up to 6 months to a year. I mean, we're talking about the first time you get caught, depending on where you're at. If you get caught with more than 33 grams in Missouri, for example, that's a felony. So, you know, don't give me this bullshit, Tucker, about how there's nobody in prison for fucking possession. Because that's an old, dead right-wing talking point that you guys, for some reason, still think you can cart it out there. Maybe it's because you heard Ann Coulter say it back in the 1997. Well, it's dead. It died a long time ago. Look at the numbers. The FBI puts out the fucking numbers. If you don't believe them, then say that. And she also goes on to say, it's a good idea to educate yourself about something before you vehemently opposing it. That is my number one takeaway and advice to Tucker after seeing this video. Like, really? Some of the things you said in there are 1984 level propaganda. So please review what you said in this video and then go back and look into what's really the facts, all right? And here's somebody, Cult of Thorn 666 says, hey Tucker, alcohol and recovery here, and I found your comment of marijuana being, quote, deadening interesting. When I was abusing alcohol, I was constantly struggling with my job, couldn't afford a car or drive one in front of a DUI, in fear of a DUI. Or, I'm sorry to interrupt your comment, Cult of Thorn, but I would also go on to say that 10 years of my life got just disappeared because I was basically ducking drunk driving tickets. So I didn't even drive. Couldn't even drive. Anyway, I was starting the earlier stages of cirrhosis of liver, which is fatal, at 20 years old. I had an estimated 1.5 years to live. Since going to rehab, I've started using marijuana as a form of treatment. I since have gotten my license, gotten my own apartment, and have been using it as a stress reliever in times of temptation. There is no legitimate reason for marijuana to remain illegal while alcohol remains legal. I don't know who's currently writing your checks, but you're a major hack for this one, and this is coming from a fan of yours. And like I've been saying, man, I'm not exactly a hater on Tucker. I like some of his positions, his anti-war positions, his anti-censorship positions, although I have seen him take some weird positions, some weird rollbacks and back bends on that. But the bottom line is there's no reason for Tucker to be this hacky, especially on this marijuana issue. And I like this comment because I can relate to it. I was a pretty heavy alcoholic in my younger years. But yeah, overall, that comment is what I was kind of saying while watching the video. Like, man, you're really talking about alcohol here with all these really bad symptoms of what people end up becoming or doing because of alcohol, not weed. The Chewbacca says Republicans smoke pot too. A lot of likes on that one. 536 likes. Give that one 537 with 74 comments. Let's see what some of these Republicans say. I'll smoke you out any day, bro. You gotta love it, man. You know, this isn't a bipartisan, this isn't a partisan issue that the left owns. The left has been the smokers of weed the whole way through. And I'm sure there's been a lot of closet right-wingers that smoke weed. But when it comes to this issue of legalization, there's no way that it's owned by the left or the Democrats. And I'm saying this as of pretty much a rabid leftist. Like, you might not notice it, but I'm pretty left. And when it comes to this issue, I don't see why anybody would be against it, left or right. No matter where you fall on the political spectrum, there is a reason for one way or another for you to feel like it should be legalized. The more you educate yourself about cannabis and why it was made illegal and why it was kept illegal, the more you should be definitely for legalizing it. I think I'm going to get out of here. This is about as long as I wanted to spend on this, if not way longer. But there's a lot of someone says, who knew there were so many potheads out there? And this comment section probably might have shocked a few regulars that watch Tucker videos or Fox News videos. This guy here, I normally support Tucker in his arguments, and I would say 80% of the time, but he is way off base on this one. I don't even smoke marijuana, but I know what he was saying is absolutely false. Just keeps going and going. We haven't even begun to scratch the surface of this comment section, but yeah, it's that's what's going on, guys. People are sick of prohibition, and I can't believe Tucker was way out there on this one. Maybe I'm just giving Tucker too much credit, but 2.2 thousand downvotes. Good luck with all that. That's all I got on this one. Later, guys. Thanks for hanging out.